What you are seeing is a property I rented out to a lady on the Section 8 program.
So before we get started, y'all, the caption says Section 8 tenants versus cash tenants. So that's what we're reviewing.
What you are seeing is a property I rented out to a lady on the Section 8 program. This is how she left it. It's going to cost me over $50,000, completely destroyed. Now, on the other hand, this was a lady who was paying cash, working a normal 9 to 5. Exactly how I gave her the property, she gave it back to me. Only if you guys can smell what I smell. The basement is all molded. Come right here. There is literally all over the ground. I mean, I can't believe this. Look how they left my kitchen. Tore up all my cabinets. Look at the appliances. And then follow me here. Nasty ass living room. And then if you look down there, piles of in all the bedrooms. This has to be the nastiest shit I've ever seen and walked into. This is gonna cost me about $50,000 to repair.
Oh.
What you are seeing is a property.
So you want to be a landlord. So you want to get some investment property, huh? You sure about that? And then I don't really know if I agree with the way that he's doing it. I don't agree with his methods. Why wouldn't he just pick one and stick with it? Is it that hard to find tenants? Why would you have a Section 8 tenant and a cash tenant? Why don't you just get good on one end? Don't mix things up and diversify things to this extent. It's good to be diversified, but if you can specialize within whatever you're doing, that's better. Diversify and pick something else. Don't try to diversify in a specific realm, because that's how you get disasters like this. There's no consistency. At least if you just deal with Section 8 tenants, then you can start to figure out how to just deal with Section 8 tenants. Or if you're going to just deal with cash tenants, then you can understand how to just go about that. But you can't be surprised when you see chaos like this. And I mean, it's such a stark contrast, those two places. I mean, it's insane. Y'all, before we get into the next clips, if you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. It only takes a second and it actually helps out more than you know. And also if you could hype.
Where I have to go to court. I've never had to go to court for this before, but I could lose everything. And when you are evicted, I don't know if people know, but when you are evicted.
Hold on, y'all. So there's no caption, but I didn't just start it there. She just started the clip while she was already in a stream of talking. But I can read the description though. So her description says, I have court today and I'm incredibly anxious, but I'm hoping to buy more time, like a lot of tenants are. But I digress. So that I can literally just pay and get back on my feet and just have my home. Nothing means more to me than having my place. And more importantly, I'm not going into tens of thousands of dollars of debt over a temporary setback. I feel like community funding is my last resort. Oh no. So we already know where this is about to go. I feel like community funding is my last resort and any donation counts. Quite literally, every penny. I would be eternally grateful and pass it forward as always. So now we already know what we're getting ourselves into. Oh my goodness. I'm glad I read that, so I'm not going to be triggered, I guess. I can expect it.
You rack up tens of thousands of dollars. I'm going to tell you straight up what happened. I went to pay my rent prior to May's rent being due. May does not post until the 1st. My apartment community, I reached out on the 30th and asked them if they had received my check so I could pay the small difference. It's a small difference. They ignored me. They did not write me back. I reached out again. They did not write me back. I knew that local mail would come and that my check would be here, but they purposely waited to not tell me so that I can owe May when they know that I didn't have May yet. Instead of going with the standard procedure of rent being due this date, 5-day notice, late, potential eviction, all these things.
People just can't get past themselves. And everybody want to call everybody a narcissist, and they be narcissistic the whole way through. She talking about when they know I wouldn't have the next month's rent. How would they know that you don't? How would they know whether or not you have money or not, or whether you have the next month's rent? Maybe you're just like so self-centered and so self-indulged that you can't just understand that they're just doing business as usual and okay, they missed an email or two or whatever. Maybe they've already been told, maybe they've already started certain court proceedings. And so there's no need for any back and forth anymore because you all will have your day in court.
things. They didn't even give me that. They knew what I was dealing with. They knew that the money was coming. They knew that the money was coming. They worked directly with my caseworker. The funding was there. It was on its way. They told me if you pay before a court date, which I just got the court date a few days ago. I didn't even know that they sent me to the courts until I went down there and I said, hey, I thought I was good because my check's on the way. So now I'm in the position where I have to go to court. I've never had to go to court for this before, but I could lose everything. And when you are evicted, I don't know if people know, but when you are evicted, you rack up tens of thousands of dollars. Because one, you have to still pay. You're responsible for the rest of that lease. Two, if you receive concessions, discounts, 8 weeks off, 10 weeks off, 5 weeks off, you have to pay that back. And then if you owe any money to a property, 9 times out of 10, you're getting denied. I'm not in the position to up and move. And I don't want to lose what I've worked so hard for over something temporary, over something I didn't even know was going to happen. And now it's like a couple grand versus probably 20 or more. I don't even know. And me not having a place to live. When I was so ecstatic and so happy that things worked out. So this is my story. I do feel like I was treated unfairly, and I am very aware of fair housing laws and things like that, but I'm not going to take it there. But I do feel I was treated unfairly.
Before we get into her pitch, because I feel like that's coming any second now. Before we get into the pitch, no, if you feel like you were treated unfairly and you have some legal standing to stand on, Miss, I worked in property management, then you can bring it up. But I think what it ultimately is just like a last ditch effort. It's a Hail Mary where they just start pulling stuff out of their wazoo, trying to see what they can throw at the wall and what'll stick. I haven't heard any responsibility in here on her. Ain't that funny? We hear these people talk about these things, and there's no earnest on them. There's no responsibility on them. And then they say they feel like they have a case, but ultimately they're not going to bring it up because they know in a fair court where they only look at the facts and are impartial and totally objective, they know that they would see that and say, ma'am, no. Ain't that something? In a fair court, she would be held accountable, which lets us know that in all odds, she's wrong in the situation. But yet, within her explanation of the situation, there has been zero accountability, zero responsibility, and ultimately no culpability on her part.
Treated unfairly, and I am very aware of fair housing laws and things like that, but I'm not going to take it there. But I do feel I was treated unfairly. I feel like my community wants to push me out in spite of me being fully available, because when you're going to court, they want to say, oh, you didn't even pay, you didn't try to pay. No,
people be coming on here to tell the story, but they don't say none of their part. How were you treated unfairly? Tell us. You're telling your story. Why don't you tell us how you were treated unfairly?
Available, because when you're going to court, they want to say, oh, you didn't even pay, you didn't try to pay. No, I tried to pay prior to, and they didn't even give me the opportunity. They wanted to wait. And that seems so egregious to me. So egregious to me to wait till rent was due the next following day when those charges weren't even on there, and I could have cleared those charges up and started fresh. So now I have to pay both.
Ain't no started for y'all gotta really pay attention to what she's saying. I have to keep cutting in here because she's being slick with words. So it could either be two things right there, right? One, it could be they've already started the court proceedings and so they can't accept any money. That would be the best case scenario, as far as that would make her seem well, would make her seem good in a good light. That's the best. That's the best case. So just put that right there. The best case that this could be, that it could make you seem like you were justified, is that they just had already filed the eviction, so they can no longer accept your payments. But what she really said was that, here's what she said. She basically said she was already all the way late up until dang near the 30th day of the month. And she's trying to pay the rent that was due on the first, on, allegedly like the 30th day, the 29th day of the month. And then she's saying they were setting her up because that would have hit and basically squared away the balance. But ma'am, if you were paying that, then all that would have happened was you'd have got 39 days behind again, because when that next month would have hit, you would have owed the next month's rent right then and there. People be late, and then they think by them being late, that now starts their new payment date when the late date is. Because maybe you accept it one time or whatever the case. They think now it done pushed their payment back to where now, okay, I done got us good. No, we're not good. It's the first of this month. Do you have that too? Oh no, I probably won't have that till the 30th. Shoot, I probably won't have that till the next month. These are the little games that people playing, and they make it seem like they're the victim in something. Ma'am, you signed a contract and your rent is due on the first of every month. So when that next month's hit, you need to have that too, if you want to say that you were ready to have everything square.
Have my April. I need help with May. If you can help me, please. Because honestly, anybody can be one inconvenience away. And it sucks to really build and do all this just to end up to lose everything. My home that I'm sitting in, that I'm grateful for, that I work hard for, off my own money, off my own pain. Anyways, I don't want to get emotional, but help would mean so much to me.
Help, yeah. Anyone can be one inconvenience away. That's how we're leaving it. Let me tell you something. Should I do it? Oh, yeah, I'm gonna do it, man. Because I'm tired of this. Because we never get the context. And more often than not, if you really evaluate the situation, since she's talking about anybody can be one inconvenience away, well, let us see statements. Let's see how you've been living. She wouldn't do that. But I'm about to show you how she been living. Let me see. It's just for content. I'm just having fun. I'm going to be honest. I'm just having a little fun. Passing the time. But you tell me, if the first thing that pops up is point of view, do you see that? Vacation in 2 days. That's the first thing that's pinned at the top that pops up. Her vacation in 2 days. Let's check it out.
Hey, bitch. Bitch. Hey.
So we have the vacation in 2 days. Oh, let me see how to. So right there, we had the vacation in 2 days, right? Let's keep scrolling down. I mean, hair done, everything. Oh, hold on.
Y'all, I'm at work, but I need to tell y'all about this immediately. If you live in AZ, I need a whole phone. I'm sorry. I don't know. I just said no cow's milk. It's so good, and it's from Better Buzz. Call me. I'll come to y'all shop.
Her new favorite matcha in Arizona, right? And I'm not trying to like pocket watch or get too granular on things. I don't usually like to go too deep on these things. We're still keeping it pretty surface level, to be fair. But ultimately, what I'm saying is Her profile is a representation of the type of lifestyle that I was assuming that she was living, which is ultimately she's spending a lot and she's living check to check, and she possibly doesn't have to. And there's a lot of room where she can cut. Matcha and gourmet coffees is not necessary, and it's absolutely something that you could save. You'll see financial advisors tell people to cut their subscriptions, Netflix subscription, whatever. The subscription for the whole month be the same price as a cup of gourmet coffee. And people don't typically get one a month, right? Let's be real here. And she looks like she's possibly high maintenance, right? Possibly very high maintenance. Makeup, hair, everything, lashes. She's got everything. So was it an inconvenience, or was it you being irresponsible with your finances and you deciding that you were going to spend impulsively and make certain impulsive financial decisions that have now come back to bite you, and you feel like it's everybody else's job to rescue you from that? That's what we have to explore. And I'm glad we dug a little deeper.
I'm absolutely fuming right now. So we have upstairs tenants that we're currently trying to evict because they're literally squatting. They haven't paid us a dime because their security deposit and first and last months of rent.
Her caption says, evicting our tenants. She said her first and last month's rent. What?
They haven't paid us a dime because their security deposit and first and last months of rent. They flagged it as fraud, and so they got all the money back right after they had moved in. Literally the day that they moved in. So we've been in the process of trying to evict them, and part of it is we hired the sheriff to serve them with papers, summons or whatever you call it. And so he was here twice today to knock on the door and try and get them to answer, because you literally like have to give it to them. You have to serve them. You can't just like leave it there. It's a whole nother process if this doesn't work out. He's knocking and he's ringing the doorbell, and we live in the basement, so we can hear all of this. They don't answer. And so the sheriff texts us. He's just like, okay, they didn't answer. I'm going to come back in an hour and I'm going to try again. We're like, okay, perfect. We know for a fact that they're home, which is so annoying. And so he comes back an hour later and he tries again, and he's knocking and he's ringing the doorbell and they don't answer. So he's just like, okay, I can come back Thursday, and that's the last day I can try, and then I have to give the papers back to the court, and then you have to try and hire another sheriff to try again, or there's this whole other thing we have to do. And I'm fuming because they've already been here for almost 2.5 weeks.
See, this is the red tape that landlords have to go through. It's so specific on their side. They got to be served, and then you could actually pay for the sheriff office to serve them, and they only gonna, what you pay for is only a couple attempts, and if they don't get in touch with them, you're just ish out of luck, and they still didn't get served, and they're still living rent free. And these people they're clearly professionals, right? And by professionals, I mean they've done this before, right? Because they knew what to do immediately. They paid the first month's rent, and then they did what is commonly called a chargeback, where some credit cards have that option where you can basically charge it back after you've done a transaction, to where you get the stuff in real time, but while it's still in that pending status, you can charge it back, and then it'll go back into your account. And so that's why I say they've clearly done this before.
Or there's this whole other thing we have to do. And I'm fuming because they've already been here for almost 2.5 weeks rent free. They haven't paid a dime. If you see my last story time, I like explained it a lot better. It's very long. Like, we don't have, like, I lost my job. We're living in the basement of the house. That's why we're trying to rent the upstairs, like house hack, save money. We don't have the money to really go through the eviction process. And I've been trying so hard for the last 3 weeks to try and find a job, and no luck. I just need to be less pickier, I guess, with the jobs that I'm looking for. Honestly, that's probably just what I need to do at this point. But I'm just so I'm just so done. Like, my life me and my husband are just trying so hard to be positive, but you think of people so highly. You think that people will have as much respect for you as you have for them, until people completely fuck you over. And I've like lost all hope for humanity at this point, because this is the second time this has happened. Pretty much our first tenants, one of them passed away, And so then the girlfriend tried to like lie and do a bunch of things with the court to try and get out of the lease and not pay us a dime. So we had to deal with all of that. And now we're dealing with this after having it vacant for like 3 months. So yeah, just living my best life right now. I'm absolutely fuming.
Here's my thing, right? Here's my thing. See, I thought this was a tenant where they had their own place, basically. Like she had a house that she gave to another tenant. I guess she's saying she's living in a basement. They must have different access points. So to where they're basically sectioned off into where you can lock each one. And maybe in the basement she has a kitchen. They maybe have another kitchen in the basement. But I would think if y'all are living in the same house, then it would be much simpler for you to get them to serve them. Really, you can just be in contact with them and you can be in the main area or whatever. And then when they're home or whatever, you can then have the sheriff pop up. You just text them, whatever. And then they can come. You can give them access to the home instead of them having to knock and all this type of stuff. And that should be very easy to do, especially if you don't have a job to be at. You can be there 24 hours to make sure it happens. Right? That should be easy. Maybe I misheard something within this whole thing to where, that's not feasibly possible. Another thing too, she said she's been looking hard for jobs. You got to tier it when you're looking for jobs, right? Like, especially when it's like urgent. If she lost her job, I would say like the first week or maybe two, but the first week, apply to jobs that you want to that you want to move into. Maybe it can even be a little bit of a step up from what you were already doing the first week. But after that first week or that first 2 weeks, if you got some savings and you got a little bit more time, then you just have to apply, like she said, to every job that you know that you're qualified for and that you can go in there and do, and that you know that they will probably accept you. You just don't want to be there, right? And then what that'll do is that'll light a fire under you within that week or two to make sure you're just going after it, applying hard, thinking of any creative ways, because once that time frame is up, you got to start applying for this other stuff too. Maybe you can still apply for the regular, because if you don't have a job, finding a job needs to be your full-time job. So that means you need to be working 9 to 5 trying to find jobs. So if you want to still apply to the jobs you want, you can do that outside of business hours, working hours, 9 to 5, when you're applying to things you definitely could get. Just a little strategy. That's how I would go about it. And because that would incentivize you for that first week or two to really do everything in your power. Maybe even try to find ways where you can, break through the noise and separate yourself. You'll get real creative and, you just see what you can come up with. But yeah, it's looking like she ain't going to be able to keep being picky for much longer.
Damn, ow. Got my
This caption said they done got me. I was just a month behind.
damn, ow. Got my dresser, damn. Goddamn,
Had a tenant call in and say that they couldn't pay rent because our working business hours were the same as their working hours. Even though we have a Dropbox that they can put their check in, they can mail a check, they can do bill pay through their bank, or they can also pay on our online portal. But since they work during the same hours as we do, they're not able to pay rent.
Yo, if I didn't have bills and responsibility, I would have so much money. Like, every first of the month, like, bitch, it can't be every other month. Like, I just paid y'all.
Every other month.
I just paid y'all. Then I gotta pay y'all again. And on top of that, I gotta feed myself. We definitely became adults at the wrong fucking time because, bitch, I don't know y'all. I don't know if I'm gonna make it through this. Because I'm over here like, I think I want to give up adult imposition too much. Like, y'all might think I'm playing, but I'm dead ass serious. We definitely became adults at the wrong time. And people can't fucking try. Sick.
She talking about I just paid a month every other month. It's so funny when you see those videos or just people in general that's just say things like, "Oh, adulting is so hard," and "I wish I could be a kid again. Nobody told me it was going to be this hard." Man, please, I don't wish I could be a kid again. I love being able to do things my way. So, I I get it. Hey, you don't I like discipline. I like working hard. I like being responsible and incentivizing my way and finding different ways for me to be able to, work harder and accomplish things. Um, I know people will say, even when I was a kid, people used to say things like, enjoy it now. Because once you become an adult or once you get grown, it's like they're treating it like it's just life stops and it sucks all the life out of everything. That's not the case for me. Shoot. And listen, I don't live a crazy life. I keep things real structured. I keep things real disciplined. But I like it. Listen, I'm nostalgic. I'm a very nostalgic guy. I can reflect back to my childhood and things like that. And yeah, there's certain aspects of that I like, but I'm going through the process. If you'd have gave me double the time to go through it again, it wouldn't still have the same impact. Right. So I'm enjoying the new things, right, that come with this next ascension in the human journey. But you see, when you're dealing with it like this, see, people just don't want to do what it takes. I'm not going to lie to you. Once you do become an adult, life becomes a big hill. I'm not going to lie. Life becomes a big hill. And here's what I mean. I look at it like it's a big old hill cliff. And yes, especially starting out, it kind of sucked, like trying to go up that hill cliff. Because what can also happen is, and this is where we get into the cycle of self-inflicted wounds. What can also happen is while you're trying to go up that hill, something could happen, or you could do something to yourself and you could go sliding back down, sliding back down, sliding back down, sliding back down. And that's what a lot of people are doing in their life. Having kids, sliding back down. Living paycheck to paycheck, sliding back down. Not willing to work 80 hours a week, 100 hours a week, sliding back down. And the funny thing about it is, like, right when you get to that top, if you can get over that hill, there's something on the other side. For one, going back down is going to be so much smoother. And then as you're going back down, when you actually get to the end of it, there's this whole thing that you couldn't, the hill is so high, you couldn't even see it on the other side. But there's this whole thing on the other side. And it's so peaceful, it's so smooth, and it's so fulfilling. But again, most people just keep sliding back down, sliding back down. So they have these perspectives, they have these mindsets to where it's like, oh my gosh, it sucks. They have this reaction on their face when they're thinking about life as an adult. But no, it's just because you're not willing to do what it's going to take. Because I'm not going to lie, you are definitely going to have to do something extraordinary, right? People trying to be at normal and go the conventional normal route. No, you're going to have to do something while at the same time not putting wounds on yourself and sabotaging yourself. But you're going to have to do something phenomenal. You may have to work 100 hours for 3 years straight and not work hard, play hard, work hard, save hard. You might have to do that. And then from there, and you have a little bit more leverage. With more leverage comes more opportunities. And with more opportunities, I think you start to see, you might call it luck, but really what you just did was you got out of survival mode. So now you could see things clearly and you could identify opportunities clearly. And you didn't have to be so desperate when they were being presented to you. So that a lot of people don't get to that, but you're going to have to do something extraordinary if you want to get over that hill. That is the barrier to entry if you want to get over that hill. Everybody's going to have to do something that is going to be extremely hard that most people are not willing to do. Most people will not be willing to do that. The vast majority. But if you're willing to do that, then you can get over that hill. So we'll leave it there. I think that's a good leaving point. Y'all, if you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. Only takes a second, and it actually helps out more than you know. And also, if you can hype the video. Hype is a new feature that YouTube offers where it helps smaller content creators like myself. And basically, when you hype, it actually pushes us to the extent that it pushes the larger content creators. So you just press the hype button and it shows the points. And because I am a smaller content creator, we actually get more points per hype. And hype was designed for smaller channels, smaller creators like myself. So that's why we get more points. And you only get 3 a week. So, it's best to use them as best as you can, as well as if a video is 7 days old, then you won't see the hype there anymore. So typically works best on the newer videos that come up. And again, also Patreon's link below if you want to see self-improvement content as well. But until then, I'll catch you all in the next video.